Now let's learn how can we read files. A text file can be thought of as a sequence of lines, and we already talked about loops such as while loop and for loop, and we can use these loops to pass through every line in this text file and extract it and print it out, for example, in our Python program. So let's go ahead and create a method that retrieves for us the text or the lines in our text file. So for example, let's suppose we have the myfile.txt, and here we have hello, hi, how are you, and finally I'm good. And let me just remove this. We have hello, how are you, I'm good. So we have 3 lines in this text file. Let's go ahead and create our function here, a method. For example, we're going to extract from the file. We use the function append, and our file is called myfile.txt. And in this case, this is our file, and we're going to read from it, so we don't have to add the argument r since the default mode is read. So we can simply type append and the name of the file that we want to read. Now we have our f, and in this f we can read from it. So for example, in our text file here we have 3 lines. So let's create a counter. It will be equal to 0 at first, and for every line in this f we are going to increment the count plus 1, and we're going to print our line, whatever we have in the line in f, and then after finishing we're going to just print the number of lines is, and we're going to print count. Let me go ahead and run this code. We are going to get hello, how are you, and I'm good, and the number of lines is, and as usual, instead of having to write this code, we already have some built-in functions and method in Python. So for example, you can use the read method, and this method simply read the whole file into one string. For example, here we have our file, and this is our file handle f, and instead of writing this code, we'll simply just write the string st will be equal to f dot read, and then we can simply print st. Let's run this code. We're going to get hello, how are you, I'm good. And this is one method. Another method would be is to specify the number of characters we want to return. So in this f.read here, we can add an extra parameter. So for example, we just want to return hello, and hello is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. So we simply return the first 5 characters. Run this code, we're going to get hello, and the O is included. Now, sometimes we might want to have or extract the first line, and we don't know how many characters there is in this line. So instead of specifying the number of characters, we're going to extract. For example, if we have here hello and some characters, and we want to extract them, we can simply use the readLine method, and we'll extract the first line and print it out. And it might not just be the first line, it will read the lines of the file. So for example, if I set one more time st to be equal to the read line, and let's print this, we are going to get how are you. So first of all, we're going to get this hello and these characters, and then we're going to get how are you. So it will be going to passing through all the lines and printing out every line it encounters. And this is it basically for the read line. We can also now search through a file, and we can combine the pattern for reading a file with string methods to build a simple search mechanism. Now let's suppose that in our text file we have hello 1 and Adi, hello 2, Jad, hello 3, Adam, and so on. So for example, if we want to print out the lines that contains hello or that starts with hello, we'll simply use this algorithm. So for example, first of all, we have our text file, myfile.txt, and let's create a counter just to check how many times we extracted if a line that start with hello. So count will be equal to 0, and for every line in our file handle f, we are going to check if this line starts with the word hello, and if this is the case, simply print out this line and increment the count by 1. And finally, after extracting these lines and ending the for loop, we'll simply print the count is followed by the number of how many times we printed out a line that starts with hello. So let me go ahead and run this code. We're going to get hello 1, hello 2, and hello 3, and the count is 3. And notice that this algorithm or this code just ignores everything that doesn't start with hello. So for example, here we have Hadi, Jad, and Adam. Our code will simply pass through all of these lines. However, it will just print out and increment the count whenever we have a line that starts with hello. And let me just do this. So for here we have hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, and we have no space between them. Even if we do this, we are going to get hello 1, hello 2, hello 3. So it's not just about the word, it's about the characters. And in this case, Python is only going to check if the line starts with HELLO and ignores everything after that, even if I add anything here. And let me save this, run this code one more time. I am going to get this line of code, this line of the text I have. So simply Python ignore everything after the letter O, and whatever we have here, it doesn't matter, it will just simply print it out. Now notice here that we have an extra line here, here, and here, so we have 3 extra lines. And one way to get rid of these lines is to use the rstrip method, and this method will strip the white space from the right side of the string in order to not skip these lines. So for example, before printing line, we are just going to say that line will be equal to line rstrip, and let's run this code. We're going to get the 3 lines without these extra lines empty. Now, sometimes our code might get very complicated and it might be easier for us to use the continue. So instead of checking if our line starts with hello, we're going to check if our lines do not start with this word hello. If this is the case, we are going to continue, and as we said before, using the continue, we will simply jump over all of these lines and go back to our for loop. And if this is not the case and our line starts with hello, then we'll simply ignore this and we are going to continue with our code as usual. We're going to strip and print it out and increment the count. So this is it basically for the continue. And here we can add one more thing. We can use the find string method too. So let's suppose we have some emails here. Let's say Hadi Yunus at something.com and Yunus Hadi at something.com, and here we have some lines, for example, how are you, and I'm good, and lastly let me just add one email, something.com. So this is our file now. We have 3 emails and 3 lines inside this file, and we are going to print out these emails and ignore everything else. So here we might want to use this find method, and first of all we have our file handle, and we are going to enter the for loop. So for line in this f file handle, we are going to strip this line and check if in this line we can find the at. So let me just type it, if line dot find, if we found something that is at something.com, and whenever we use this method find, we're going to get the integer. For example, if we don't find this, we are going to get -1. However, if we find it, it will be anything different than this -1. So if line.find something.com is not equal to -1, we'll simply print this line and increment the count. So let me run this code, and we got an error saying that syntax error. Here we have, now we're good. Let me just run this code one more time. We're going to get Hadi Yunus at something.com, Yunus Hadi at something.com, and the last email we entered, that is Hadi Yunus 10 at something.com, and the count of course is 3. We have 3 emails, and as you can notice, we just simply ignored everything that does not contain at something.com. So for example, here we can simply know that our code is not powerful, since here it is clearly not an email. However, if we add at something.com here, and let me run this code one more time, we are going to get this line of code, this line of text, Hadi Yunus at something.com, which is clearly not an email. We have some extra space here and some extra space here, and in the email we cannot have these. And notice that our count is incremented. So it is better to modify this code and check if we have some space here. We will not print it out. We're going to check for spaces and for when to use this at something.com. So for example, if I write here at something.com and followed by Hadi Yunus, let me just delete this. Let's run this code, and we're going to get this email, and this is an invalid email. So it is always better to not just use this